Hey guys, this is Zion from the Triple Threat Artist. I am at Bryce Canyon National Park, which is in Utah, southern Utah, and I'm kind of doing a work vacation, working in different parts of the western United States. And this place is incredible. It looks a little like this. Pretty awesome. I wanted to shoot the video over there on the rim of the canyon. However, it is too windy, and I don't want to be super annoying when I do this video. I want to talk to you guys about something that really impressed me a lot in the last few days, and that is the most amazing instrument that you have in your studio that might be the most underutilized instrument. So to get into this, don't you like my little teaser here? To get into this, I want to tell you a quick story. I had a friend in Phoenix, and I was invited to a house party. This is a couple Christmases ago, and his name's Corey, and he invited us over for a party, and he had this beautiful baby grand piano. And I'm like, Corey, I did not know that you play piano. Can you play something for us? And he sat down and he started wailing on the piano, and it was amazing. A beautiful song. I think it was like, I don't think it was Fly to the Bumblebee, but it was something crazy like that. Something that takes a lot of dexterity, incredible discipline. And we were all so impressed. I said, that is incredible. Now, can you write something you've written? Or can you play something you've written? And he's like, oh, well, no, I mean, I've messed around a little bit, but I don't want to show you anything. He was totally embarrassed about showing anything that he'd ever written. And I said, okay, well, if I brought, my guitar over and we sat down and started playing a song together, could you play along with me? Could you accompany me? And he said, well, do you have the sheet music? And I said, no, I have a chord chart. Can you play off of chords? And he said, no, I just can't play that way. And I said, well, how long have you taken lessons? He said, about 12 years. And he's not a professional pianist. He does things and he has his own business and he's very successful, but he has 12 years of playing the piano and practicing, and he cannot play anything from improv. He can't just wail or riff. He's got to have sheet music. I bet you know somebody like this too. And I bet you've probably had these same thoughts of, what's the point? What's the point of just playing somebody else's music that they've created? I guess the joy of the discipline of your fingers flying across the keys, or maybe, I mean, there is something to be said about concert pianists and people just replicating or emoting on their instrument. And that's awesome, but that's not for me. I love making music, and that means songwriting, that means producing. And I discovered my favorite instrument in the last, about 5 years ago. I was doing some cinematic music for, actually I was just playing around. I had bought a new software. I was listening to a lot of Hans Zimmer at the time, and I bought some strings and all kinds of stuff. And I started orchestrating these melodies in my mind and then trying to replicate how they would sound. I apologize for the helicopter flying over. And I thought, I just got really, really into it and really had a lot of fun. In fact, I'll put a couple links to some of the tracks that I've created that are cinematic sounding. So no vocals, it's not sing-songy, there's no lyrics. And so the arrangement's very different from like a pop song, of course. It's cinematic, it's to be put to a cue. And that night when I tried to go to sleep, my brain was just flying. And I was thinking about, what if I went to this chord? What if I emoted here more? What if I stopped? And I literally had this vision of me sort of conducting this entire symphony and on the fly, like kind of like Mickey Mouse does in that Fantasia movie, where you can just make this, the worlds are sort of created by your own fingertips. And I just sort of kind of went into this trance, and I'm not trying to be all woo-woo, but I went into this sort of trance of just creating music in my mind, and I was blown away by what that did for me creatively. Because what it did is it taught me, oh my God, if I could hear it in my head, I bet I could figure it out. So I'd jump up, I couldn't sleep, and so I got my recorder out and I'd hum melodies, and I'd get on my computer and try to recreate it. But I noticed something a lot of times when I sat down at my computer or sat down at the keyboard and started trying to put the music into my computer, I was immediately hung up by the technical difficulties or the nuances of making the piano sound right or the strings Debussy section sound realistic. And it was just a total bottleneck in my time and would kill my momentum. But I learned something through this, in that I think my best instrument is actually my brain. And I'm willing to bet it's your best instrument too. If you're a music maker, and I'm not talking about somebody that just plays the piano and requires the brain to, have the discipline of reading a chart. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in any of that. It's just not for me. What I want to do is create original music. And if you're watching this, I bet you do too. And that means both in the songwriting and it means in the production. The production requires so much creativity. And it doesn't matter what genre we're talking about, right? But if you can't think of it in your head, you're not going to be able to find it on the piano. If you can't think of it in your head, you won't be able to figure it out on the guitar. I'm no great guitarist. I'm no great pianist. I'm no great synthesizerist. I'm a decent drummer, but I was never that great at drumming either, let's be honest. But I was pretty good. But what I've discovered is if I can create it in my mind and I could hear it in my mind, I can almost always figure out how to replicate it on the piano, on the guitar, on the synthesizer, in the drums. And that goes for production things as well. The way the mix is supposed to sound, the arrangement of the song, and where the drops are, the emotion. So let's build here, let's take a break here, let's go into an instrumental part. I play the song back in my mind when I'm creating it to figure out what the arrangement's supposed to be. For some reason, that was a big, mind-blowing thing to discover. And I bet you've discovered this as well. I bet I'm not saying anything mind-blowing to you, but I want to encourage you to capitalize on it. Think of your brain, think of your mind as your best instrument, which means it needs discipline, it needs to be practiced, it needs to be honed in. And to do that, it's going to require a lot of practice, right? Malcolm Gladwell said, learning anything or mastering anything requires about 10,000 hours. I think that goes for imagining things too. That's your strongest instrument. A while back, a couple years ago, I was trying to come up with a steel guitar solo, just little embellishments in a song. And at the time I couldn't afford, actually I didn't know anybody that really played a steel guitar. And I didn't have time to have somebody do it and figure out somebody to play the parts and all that. So I thought, well, I'll just do it. So I downloaded a VST, a piece of software, to learn how to put that steel guitar in. And I immediately knew what I was up against. I thought, oh my goodness, there's so many little, I can't remember what articulations that you can do in the steel guitar, slide up, pull offs, plucks, all kinds of things. And not being a steel guitarist myself, I didn't know if I could even make this happen. But, so what I did is I put away the software and I hummed it and I created it in my mind and recorded it. I played the song on my computer, recorded it with my phone of me humming that part. And sure enough, I came up with something that I thought, man, that sounds like if a real steel guitar player played those notes, that would sound amazing. And then I spent a couple hours just replicating what I had come up with the software. And that means slides, that means pull-offs, that means trills, that means vibratos. Those little articulations create the illusion that a real steel guitar player is really playing and really knows what they're doing. Now, I'm not saying this is a cure-all. I'm not saying this is always the way to do it. There's a lot of ways to skin the cat, right? But I created it in my mind, and there's no way it would be as good as it is without me doing that first. Does that make sense? I'm going to leave a link below on that song if you want to check it out. I hope this has been helpful to you guys. Again, the best instrument you have is your brain. Work on that. Work on imagining. And that might require meditation or more hot showers. I get a lot of inspiration for some reason in the shower or on a long drive when I'm doing something very monotonous, and I'll start hearing things in my head. I'll start playing with a melody or a production or an arrangement. I love that stuff. Do you love that stuff? Send me a link below or reply to this. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.